Hey guys, I've been wanting to do this for about 10 years now. I originally wanted to write a book about it, but not many people read books anymore, so I figured why not make videos. So this is going to be chapter 1, and it's also my first video on YouTube, so y'all are going to kind of have to bear with my mistakes. I'm still kind of learning, and I also have a speech problem that only happens whenever I get really into the conversation, so y'all just bear with me. I'm also kind of emotional. Okay, so this subject is going to be depression. Not necessarily that I go through it, because I don't, but I was affected by it. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Whenever I was 15 years old, my mom committed suicide. And I'm going to start with the day that it happened. It was a half day at school, and I remember whenever I got out, I really wanted to go hang out with one of my friends, but she wouldn't let me. She kept saying, we have plans later, and I just remember being so mad at her about it. And on the way home, I was hanging halfway out the window, not listening. She asked me to sit properly, and she asked me a few questions, and I was just ignoring her and just being a bad teenager, because I didn't want to go home. Well, we got home, and I stayed in my room until my dad got home, because at the time he was redoing a house that he had inherited from my grandfather, and the house we were living in and the house that he had inherited were both on the same land. And whenever he got off, we walked over there to that house, and at the time he was redoing the kitchen, and me and him were doing stuff in the kitchen, and I remember my mom walked in, and she just picked up the broom and was cleaning up dust bunnies and the cobwebs in the corner of the dining room, and she asked us a question, and I don't remember what she asked, but I remember abruptly ignoring her, and my dad didn't hear her, so she set down the broom and just walked away quietly. And my dad was like, did she say something? Where is she going? And I don't know. Little did I know that would be the last time I ever saw my mom. So we get home, because my dad had a meeting to go to, and I remember he wanted to eat dinner before he left, and dinner wasn't ready, which made him pretty upset, and I was mad too, because I was hungry. And I remember we were going to have spaghetti that night, because the noodles and the sauce was still sitting on the counter. Well, he walked to the room, I guess to go talk to my mom, and I went to go take a shower. And whenever I got out, my dad was gone. And I remember being mad because I wanted to go with him to the meeting. And so I walked into the kitchen, and my mom still hadn't started cooking, which just made me more mad at her. So I stormed into the living room, and my brother was laying on the couch, and the door to my mom's room was open, and she wasn't in there. And I was just like, where's Mom? And he said, she walked to the pond with Dad. And I said, no, she didn't. I was like, Dad went to a meeting. So I just kind of let it go. And then I remember walking outside, because both of my sisters were outside. And my oldest sister was the only one that was allowed to leave. She actually wasn't living with us at the time. And they were calling my mom, because both of them wanted to go somewhere, which of course I wanted to go too. So they called my mom, and I remember them asking, and she said no, that we were expecting company, which just made them mad. And I was already mad at her, so it just made me even more mad at her. And I remember my sister went to hang up the phone, and right before she hit that end button, my mom said, I love you. And that was the last thing I ever heard from her. About 30 minutes later, we got a knock on the front door, which we thought was weird, because everybody who knows us knows to go to the back door. So my brother looked out the window and saw that there was 3 cop cars out front, and so my sister opened the door, and the woman said that they had got a call that a mom was going to commit suicide. And it hit me. She had to say it twice in order for me to realize what my mom went to the pond for. Which, whenever we say the pond, we meant the 80 acres my granddaddy owned those two houses sat on. And so I told the lady where she went, and they took my sister instead of me. And I remember being upset about that because I just had this feeling I knew where my mom was. But they took her, and they started walking down to the land, and I called my oldest sister to come back. And she came back, and we was just trying to get in touch with my dad, and he ended up cutting his phone off because he was in the meeting, and we were blowing his phone up. Well, my sister came back with the cops, and just the cry that she didn't even have to say anything, and we knew, and we all just started crying. We knew what was up. I'll never forget that. Eventually about 10 or 12 cops showed up because of what the incident was, and our neighbors were being nosy, so one of them eventually came over, and they took my eldest sister to go get my dad. And whenever my dad came back, he told us that our mom was gone. And I just remember hating myself for treating my mom the way I did over such a stupid incident. And at the time, I was blind to her daily struggle because I was just transitioning into that adult mindset. I mean, I had just turned 15. I don't even think I hit puberty until after my mom passed, to be honest with you, but that's beside the point. That was a little much information, but back to the point. If you know somebody that's going through depression, or if you're going through depression, just think twice before you make any rash decisions, whether it be ending your life or ending a relationship with somebody. Because I'm here to tell you right now, the chain of events that are going to follow after this day are going to show you what happens whenever you think you are worthless to people. So I'm going to end the video right there. I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I really hope y'all stay tuned for more. Y'all have a good day.